All right, Shawn, thank you for joining me today.
Of course.
Can you tell me a little bit about who you are and your Albright story?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Shawn Brzezinski, class of 2014. I honestly, my biggest slogan that I always say is forever a lion, just because of how much I loved and valued my time at Albright. And clearly, with time passing, here I am coming back as an alum and also working on campus in two different departments. So honestly, it's incredible. I was my major was communications, public relations, and journalism. So clearly I like to talk and or communicate with people. I love meeting new people and creating just like a good atmosphere with people. I also was on the women's basketball team, so I played for 4 years, and also worked two jobs on campus. So I was pretty involved, and I loved every bit of it. I think that it helped me become who I am today, whether it entailed the time management aspect or meeting different people, different organizations, and collaborating with them, getting involved in the community. Like the list honestly went on and on, and it helped me develop to who I am today and what I wanted to do in life. And now I'm back in higher education working there. So like what happened to me while I was at Albright clearly is now being seen in my work that I do now, with being a project coordinator through the Department of Justice grant on campus. And with that, I'm holding programs on educating students and prevention work in relation to sexual assault and dating violence and domestic violence and stalking on campus. And that can be a triggering topic to an extent, but I honestly believe that, when you're educated on topics that can be harder to speak on, it'll help you in the future understand if those situations were happening or anything like that. So I learned a lot of that while I was at Albright, in the circumstance that you go through things, whether they are comfortable or uncomfortable, and they help you grow, because that's how growth works. You can't grow if you're in a stagnant position or if you're always content. Like when you grow, it's up and down. It's not just a straight road, and that's the whole point. The journey that you go on is where you develop the most and where the memories and your stories come from, like the good and the bad, the ugly, the happy, the positive, all of that. So it's kind of where I'm at.
That's so cool. I love it. So now you mentioned about, telling your story and having those opportunities for growth. Was there a class that really, pushed you out of your comfort zone, or a project that you were like, "Ooh, I don't know if I can do this," and then you totally rocked it?
Well, for communications, as I had mentioned, like, I do love talking to people. I'm very open and capable of being in situations where like other people would probably be uncomfortable for and with. And I think that also has progressed into my adult life as well. I went to grad school as also before I started getting into the career field in life. But I would honestly say one of the harder things was creating a kind of like a video where we had to go and interview people on different topics. I'm trying to remember what my topic was at the time, but I think it was just difficult because you had to kind of like catch people off guard to be like, hey, I know you're like doing this, but do you have like 5 minutes? Um,
Was that be
and it
weird?
was cool. Yeah, a little weird, but kind of cool, because it's like you want someone to be prepared, but at the same point, you don't. Like you want someone to think on their toes at the same point, because that is something else in life. Like you're going to be put in situations where like you're prepared, and then there's other times when you're definitely not prepared at all, and you have to move with that, because life doesn't stop. It continues regardless of what you're being put through at the time. And that's something I also had to learn. Like things do not just stop because your life is hard or you're in a rut. Life continues. You have to adjust, and make way. Another sign of growth. It can't always be the way you want it to be. And like, I don't know, I value that in life. I value that it's not always going to go my way, and there's going to things that are hard. So I would say that honestly with that course, I would say that just like the project in itself was a little difficult because like you had to record them, you had to record yourself, creating that storyline, and you know, you had to add that creativity. I am a creative person. I enjoy being creative, but at the same point, like there were guidelines and you had to stick with them. So like that restriction sometimes can be the hardship, especially for someone who is creative or super extroverted or wants to do all of these different things to add to it. But like with restrictions and guidelines, you can't always do that. And that's also, once again, a reflection on how life can be. There are things that you want to do, but like you have to maintain them also at the same point.
That's a really good point. I like that. So now what, I mean, you've offered a ton of really good advice to students, but is there anything you would tell a communication student specifically how to succeed within the program?
I would say an open mind is essential. Like you have to understand with the communications track, like you're either going like communications journalism, like you want to write in any way, shape, or form, whether it be like a newspaper or you want to write books or you want to be an English teacher, like the list goes on, or public relations, that's more fixated on the public eye, working with people. Not that you don't work with people when you're in journalism, but it's different. You're more independent when you're a journalist than you are when someone's working in public relations. Like you're fixated on the publics. So going in, and I love to write, and I still do. I write on a daily. I actually, little secret that I at some point in the next year or so I might release a book. Yeah, that's pretty big. Oh God. We'll see. But you know, I was really fixated on the journalism aspect of it, and taking some of the courses for public relations because you have to, like they intermingle. I also realized how much I loved working with people and also understanding like what's going on in the world, the public relations aspect. And so I will say, like, definitely keep an open mind. Like, I know that a lot of times people have an idea of what they want, and I'm not saying you should ever change that or not go with what you want, but also keep an open mind because there are things that you're going to find in your process and during your journey that you're like, oh, snap, like, this is something I really thoroughly enjoy. And I never even would have thought that I would, but I'm being opened up to this now, and this is something that I enjoy, and maybe I would like to pursue something like that. And I think that that also helped me with like when I went to grad school, like, and how that brought me to where I was, because journalism was important, but the public relations aspect was huge. And because I was able to dabble with that during my schooling, like it has helped me and progressed me with where I am. I sit on 2 different councils within the community, and that relates to the public relations aspects. But I also need to do writing, whether it be like a press release or something like that. Like those are also associated with it. So like I need people to remember that like when you are in a major that like you are fixated towards, you have to keep an open mind, because if you don't, you might lose sight of something that you are meant to be a part of or something that will help you along the lines. And no one ever wants you to not shine your light in where you need to be. So I would just say the open mind aspect is probably my biggest push.
That was phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing, Shawn.
You're welcome.